What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video on my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over some UFC matches for Sunday, January 5th, 2023. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. I wish you guys the best luck on all your picks. Let's go ahead and get into the matchups. We're going to be looking at UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivac. Main card is going to take place after midnight or early Sunday morning, January 5th. But we're only going to be looking at the main event, which is Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivac, and the co-main event, which is Daun Zhong and Devin Clark. I probably butchered these guys' names. Forgive me. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then on this side of the screen is what I call my game numbers specific to the game. The way that I have it structured here is I have the event up top, the name of the event, the stadium, location, city, state. Then I have the weight class of the fight right here. And then I have one fighter right here, his name. 2 is from his birthday, his fight record, any type of win or losing streak that he's on, and his UFC record. In the middle is the last name, head-to-head, Gematria. And at the bottom is the other fighter, his name, his birthday, to and from, his fight record, any type of win or losing streak he's on, and the UFC record. So let's go ahead and just get started with the co-main event. We'll start with that one first, of course. So Daun Zhong, I doubt I pronounced that correctly, versus Devin Clark. Zhang versus Clark. I'm going to go ahead and start with the fighter that's on the bottom. I'm going to go over his numbers first, and then I'll go over the numbers with the fighter on top. So starting with the fighter on the bottom, Devin Clark. If he were to win this fight, it could be a Gregorian thing. 14 date numerology on the Gregorian, 50 date numerology on the Gregorian. The number 50 sums to 66. Devin Clark at 66 days till his next birthday, specifically his 33rd birthday. And if you write out the number 33, it sums to 66. He can get his 14th win for his career. Devin Clark, he was born on April the 12th, written 4/12 or 12/4. He's going to be fighting Daun Zhong, which sums to 124, 124, 12-4, 4-12. And Zhong can become 4-2-1 for a UFC record with a loss. 4-2-1, 1-2-4, 4-1-2. These are all just anagrams of each other. It will be the 133rd day of the Hebrew civil side of the calendar, the 14th day of the 5th month on the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. And this fight takes place in Las Vegas, Nevada, which sums to 133. And Daun Zhong can become 15-4-1 for a fight record with his career to go with. 15-4-1 is just an anagram of 14-5. You got the 1, the 4, the 5, the 1, the 5, the 4, the 1. Just anagrams of each other. And that's kind of what I would put for Devin Clark to win this fight. So if we switch gears here and we look at Clark to lose this fight and Zhong to win this fight, this is what I would put for it. Zhong versus Clark, if you write it out, sums to 138 and 159. Devin Clark could literally become 13-8 for a fight record in his career with a loss in this fight. Zhong versus Clark, which sums to 138. As he becomes 7-8, like 78 for a UFC record with a loss to go with. The number 78, if you write it out, sums to 159. Zhong versus Clark sums to 138 and 159. And there's also 159 date numerology on the Hebrew civil side of the calendar. Daun Zhong would become my well, I mean, not directly, but he could become my bias number. My bias number is 128, 182, 218. I'll show you 128, 182, 218, 812. There's any variation of these three numbers together is what I call my bias number. If you don't know about my bias number, you'll have to watch my Gabby Petito playlist on YouTube. I have just over 50 videos about it. It's not all about Gabby Petito. I have sports in there as well. I have the last World Series, the Super Bowl, some basketball, and I do have a UFC event in there as well. But what I'm getting at is the words UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivac, written out sums to 128. And that's my bias number right there. Actually, what I could put is it sums to 142 as well, which is an anagram of 124. He could become 421, facing the guy that was born on 4/12. That's an anagram I forgot to put in there. Sorry for that. But as I go back, UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivac sums to 128. Bias number 128, 182, 218, 812. And De Un Jong could become 16-3-1 for a fight record in his career. 16-3-1. 16-3-1. Nothing comes up. However, if you do the reflection of it, 1-3-6-1, find out that it's the 218th prime number. And so I would have a bias connection there for the 16-3-1 reflection of 1-3-6-1, the 218th prime. UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivac sums to 128, 128, 218, just anagrams. I do like the 218 number just because of the past work. Los Angeles Rams sums to 218, won the Super Bowl. Houston Astros won the World Series on the 218th day with Framber Valdez on the mound. Framber Valdez sums to 218. So that number is interesting for De Un Jung. It's not a direct connection. It's a reflection of a prime. It's a reflection to a prime, meaning 1-3-6-1 is the 218th prime, a reflection of 1-6-3-1. The UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivac, 128. But as I was doing this, I also noticed the 142 in this very same saying. De Un Jung, 124. Could become 4-2-1 for a UFC record with a loss against Devin Clark, who was born on 4/12, 12/4. So definitely an interesting narrative for both sides. I can see either one of them winning. But let's go ahead and move on to the next fight, the main event.
Sorry to interrupt this video, you guys, but I need a huge favor from you. Can you go ahead and like this video and leave a comment below on who you think's going to win? It's going to help with the YouTube algorithm. It's going to help grow my channel. I really appreciate you guys being here. Let's go ahead and get back into the video.
So Derek Lewis versus Sergey Spivac. I'll start with the fighter that's on the bottom, go over his numbers, and then we'll go over some numbers for the fighter that's on the top. So Sergey Spivac, one thing that's interesting about the main event and the co-main event is Sergey Spivac could become 16-3 or 15-4, and De Un Jong could become 16-3 or 15-4, or since he has that tie, 16-3-1, 1-5-4-1. So the co-main event and the main event, they each have a fighter that could become the same exact record, or they could become the opposite of each other. So that'd be something to look out for. But Sergey Spivac, if he were to win this fight, he can get his 16th win for his career. And the words Lewis versus Spivac sums to 53, the 16th prime number. Lewis versus Spivac sums to 179 as well. And Derek Lewis could become 17-9 for a UFC record with a loss. It is a total span of 3 days till Derek Lewis's 38th birthday. He could go from 2 to 3 losses in a row for his career, as Sergey Spivac goes from 2 to 3 wins for his career, and he would become 16-3 for a fight record with the win. 163 mathematically is the 38th prime number. 2 or 3 days till his 38th birthday. Derek Lewis, this being his 38th fight, counting the one no contest that he has. Also, I think that might be. I couldn't really find anything for the 26-11 for Derek Lewis for a loss. The 11 or the 26 or the combo of the two. So I'm not too sure. But, oh, yeah. This could be some. Actually, this would go against Sergey Spivac. I'll keep that. But Derek Lewis, he does some to 136, the 16th triangular number that could go along with Lewis versus Spivac, 53, the 16th prime. Sergey Spivac getting his 16th win for his career. But let's switch gears. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Derek Lewis. What would it take for Derek Lewis to win this fight? One thing that I was going to just say here a second ago was Derek Lewis sums to 64. And Sergey Spivac could become 6-4 for a UFC record with a loss. It's the 14th day of the 5th month for the Hebrew Civil, the 133rd day of the Hebrew Civil year. This fight takes place in Las Vegas, Nevada, 133. This is a heavyweight fight, which sums to 133. Sergey Spivac could become 15-4 for a fight record with a loss. 154 is just an anagram of 145. Lewis versus Spivac sums to 172. And Derek Lewis could become 27-10 for a fight record in his career with a win, which looks like an anagram of 172, 271, 172 anagrams. But also he would get his 27th win for his career. And 27 written out sums to 172. Also sums to 53. And it's Lewis versus Spivac, 53 and 72. And one last thing here, Derek Lewis, his name sums to 188 as well. And he could become 18-8, like 188 for a UFC fight record in his career. So both the main event and the co-main event have interesting narratives for both sides. At a quick glance, you almost kind of like, I don't know, at a quick glance, I was almost thinking of Jung and Spivac, but I don't know. Maybe it's an either or with their records, because either one, they're both can become 16-3 or 15-4 with a win or a loss. And so maybe it's just like one either or. You know, I do like Dae Un Jung's connection to that 218 number, but that 218 number, or my bias pattern, I call it my bias pattern because it's not written in stone. I do find it a lot. It does come up a lot. It's come up specifically in major sports games, major events. And I wouldn't really consider UFC Fight Night a major event. It would just be like a weekly event as normal. But yeah, I don't know. Tough choice. I'll have to think about this a little bit more for either side. I think they both have potential upset narratives. And then they also have potential both favorite narratives. And then I find it interesting that both the favorites could become the same record depending on win or lose. So is it an either or scenario, or do they both become the same record in the co-main and main event for their careers? But I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the support. I wish you guys the best luck on all your picks for this event for Saturday. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.